Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I have a custom mold here to share with you. This is a bait that I started designing back in April, and it is an absolute beauty of a bait, and I am so excited to share it with you. This is what I am going to call the 4-inch screenshot shad. Now, the reason I'm calling it the screenshot shad is for a couple of reasons. One, I love the name. Two, it's because you're using your screen to catch fish, your forward-facing screen to catch the fish. And three, which is the best reason, it's going to make everyone else that fishes around you want to screenshot your pictures to see where you're fishing and try to figure out what you're throwing. Because that is exactly what this bait is designed to do, to bring in some big ones and to make people second guess what you're throwing. So this is a bait I started designing back in April. It is an amazing bait. It's 4 inches because I wanted to be able to throw it on a ball head or on a Damiki rig. But I also wanted it to be big enough to throw on the back of a bladed jig as a trailer, so we have a little bit of a dual-purpose bait. And it achieves that amazing, as you will see in this video. It is a great bait. I wanted to design this for a couple reasons. One, Epic does not have a bait in this class, in my opinion. The way I'm fishing it, they don't have a bait that's designed to do what I need it to do. I love Epic, and I hope they get to something like that in the future, and I can't wait to see it when they do. But the other reason is I spend so much time offshore graphing and catching fish on my forward-facing sonar because it teaches me so much. I get to see the fish's tendencies. I get to see what do the fish do when I change colors? What do they do when I change sizes? What do they do when I change the weight of my head? What do they do when I speed up, when I slow down, when I give it more action, less action, when I stiffen it up or soften it up? I just get to see the fish's behavior live when they come up and look at my bait. What is that fish thinking? What can I change if that fish isn't wanting to bite to be able to draw those extra bites? It just helps me learn all this kind of stuff about the fish and their tendencies, their behavior, and their mood. It just is a very good learning experience, so that's why I like to fish like that. With that being said, I have all of these baits from these name brand companies, but as somebody who runs a company and makes baits, I don't make anything that fits in that category. And it's my favorite way to fish, so that doesn't make any sense. So that is the reason behind designing this, is because I wanted to be able to fish one of my baits that I designed in the way that I love to fish the most. So with that being said, I took a lot of things from those name brand baits that I liked, kind of put them up and made a big picture and mixed all that into one bait. I really love the freeloader from Crush City. It is an amazing bait, amazing Damiki rig style bait, amazing bladed jig trailer. I love the 6 cents juggle minnow. I've caught some absolute giants on the juggle minnow using it on a ball head, and it works great. Love that bait. And I love the scope shad from Gary Yamamoto, another great bait, a little bit smaller in size, the ones I've been using. But these are all great baits that I keep in the boat at all times. So it makes sense for me to blend all of that into one bait that I have confidence to throw, and that is exactly what we're doing with this 4-inch screenshot shad. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an unveiling here underneath the light. We're going to mix up some colors. I've got some new stuff from 8-Bit Baits to check out today. This isn't going to be in-depth into that stuff, but it's going to be just a little bit of a teaser for when we do the next video. And once we get all this wrapped up, we're going to go over to the boat, load up, go to the lake, and see if we can't catch some fish on this thing. Just telling you ahead of time, I have pretty good confidence. So hopefully the weather and all the stars will align, and maybe we'll catch a big one. I caught a 5-pounder on it last trip, so if it's anything like that, it ought to be a pretty good day, but we'll just have to see how it goes. So let's get over here under the light, do an unveiling, mix some plastic up, and get into this. Okay, here is the basis for my design. This is a 5-cavity mold. This mold will not laminate, but I just did this is basically just a test run to make sure that I liked the profile, I liked how it sit in the water, and just the size and everything about it. So we're working on getting a laminatable version as well. And it's got a ribbed body here, which I like the side texture. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this, but I do actually like it. It has a side fin here, a gill plate, and an eye. The reason I went so small on the eye socket is because I don't put eyes on these baits. When I'm throwing them on my ball head has eyes already, so I don't want my bait to look like it has 4 eyes and is some kind of mutant, so I just don't put eyes on it, but it is a nice little bit of a texture. And then I went with this tail here. This tail has ribbing on it to displace a lot of water, and it does do that pretty good behind a bladed jig, and it works great on that ball head like I mentioned, which is how I'm going to be throwing it most of the time. And I'll show you how I rig it, but this is what we're working with. It is a very nice looking bait, and I am a big fan. Now, one of the questions you guys are probably all wondering, what is the cost on something like this? Because I try to be as transparent as I can, because these are real questions that real bait makers have, and I do my best to answer them. I did not get any kind of discount on this. This is not a promotional deal. This is absolutely just my experience, and that's why I'm going to let you choose your own manufacturer, do all your own research. I'm not going to tell you who to use. I'm not going to tell you who I use. Pick somebody you trust. Ask lots of questions. If you feel like you need to price it across multiple people, be sure to do that, and get somebody that you are happy with and that you trust to do your project. So one of the first things I'm going to tell you is I had to pay a design fee. That is for them to take what you send them. I sent pictures of my idea and measurements, and they produced it into a model that they were able to cut into aluminum. Now, my design fee was $150 plus tax. I don't know how typical that is. I only quoted through this one person, and this is the experience that I have that I'm going to share with you. $150 plus tax for the design fee. Now, this is the part that gets expensive. The first cut is very expensive. When you have a mold design and you cut it for the first time, they figure in all this extra time just to make sure that everything goes good, and it's going to cost you. So the first production run of this mold, I actually have 2 5-cavity molds for this price. And it's $600. Now, that seems like a lot. I know I had actually planned a 10-cavity version of this in one mold, but due to some restrictions that we were having, we actually changed it into 2 5-cavity versions. So I've got 2 of these molds for that price. So $600 plus tax for the initial cut and first set of molds, and then $150 plus tax for the design fee. That is what it cost out the door for these for me. Now, with that being said, here's something to consider. Once you get the first cut done and you're happy with it, copies of that mold go down substantially, at least with the person that I used. So $600 for the initial cut, but now anytime I want to call him up, since the files are already done and we already have everything wrapped up and we know it works, I can call him up and get them for $300 a piece. Now, we're looking at half price to be able to order more. And if I order more than 1 copy at a time, it goes down even further because it makes more sense economically for him, which, I mean, I totally understand that. I'm not in a position where I'm going to need a bunch of these molds, but if you are somebody who's producing a lot of baits, getting a lot of stuff out the door, you might want a lot of copies. That is an option to think about. Now, one thing I will tell you, please, please, please take your time in the design process. Take your time, make sure you get something you're happy with, double check the measurements, ask lots of questions, do as much research as you can. That way, when you do cut it in aluminum and you spend all this money, you get something that you're happy with. That is my experience. Like I said, no discount for me, nothing like that. This is just a true hands-on experience of what I dealt with. Do your research, pick somebody you trust, and please take your time on the design phase and get a bait that you are really happy with. This first color is just a silver mica powder, just a generic brand mica powder. And I have got some of the 8-bit silver rupees in here and about 1.5 drops of some Bait Plastics black just to make it a little bit less translucent. But that is this first color we're working with. Very simple color, yet very effective. All right, for this color, we're going to build a new color using some stuff that I haven't used before. 8-bit Baits has some pixie dust here, and this is sunfish. It is a very awesome looking gold color, and I've been waiting to try this since I got it in the mail. So, look at that awesome stuff. Wow, that is some incredible looking stuff right there. So we're going to do a little bit of a black background. We're going to start with maybe 2 drops. Just give us a little bit of background here. Give this a little bit of a mix. We want kind of a smoky color. Try not to make a big mess here. Okay. Now, the smallest measuring thing I have is a 1/4 teaspoon. I guess that's not going to focus. Anyways, it's 1/4 teaspoon. And we're going to put a little bit in this, not much. See if I can show you how much I got in there. Not much. And we're going to dump some of this in here and just see what happens. Okay. Give it a little bit of a mix. See what kind of effects we can get out of that. Okay, that mix is really good. I like how fine that is. Okay. That is looking pretty good. You can see that kind of coming through on the camera, which I'll give you a better look at it once I get my fat hand out of the way. Now, I'm going to add some flake. I've got some chartreuse. This is 0.015 from Bait Plastics. And I'm going to put a little bit of this in there because why not? Let's see. We're just going to add a little bit. That small flake goes a long ways, so use it sparingly. Okay, that adds a cool effect to that. Let's see. I'm going to decide if that's dark enough for me. I might go just a hair darker. So we're going to add one more drop of black. And I think that ought to be close. There's a better up close look of that. Lots of shimmer coming through there. And I'm excited to see what that's going to look like in some baits. This is just 35 drops of MF transparent chartreuse with no flake, just a really bright chartreuse. Okay, here is a look at these baits. Pretty happy with it. That sunfish is a really natural color, which is awesome. I did some chartreuse for video purposes, just so you'll be able to see it on the back of that bladed jig. And the fish at my lake really like chartreuse, so that's going to be good as well. And then we have a more translucent silver color, which is going to be awesome for clear water, and I'm pretty sure it will catch fish at the lake we're going to as well. And I've got a bunch of other colors made up. I've been testing this for a while. So we'll get to check out a few different colors out on the water today, but that is a little look at some finished baits. I actually have a friend of mine make some of these for me. These are 3/8 ounce 4/0 Gamakatsu heads, and one thing that I think is pretty important is having this 90-degree line tie, so it helps keep your bait in the right position in the water column. This transparent chartreuse shows off the hookup here very well. You want to come out the center of the back, and you want this pretty 90-degree through the bait, and that is exactly what we're going to want. I'm going to tie a line to this and dunk it in the test tank for you so that you can see it in the water. The tail is a little bit flexible here out of the water, but once you see it in the water, it's going to stand up a lot more straight to that bait, and that's exactly what we want. But that is it on a ball head. 3/8 ounce is pretty good if you're fishing deep. If you're fishing shallow, I would lighten this head up a little bit because this bait is really going to be moving, and you're going to have some aggressive fish to hit a bait moving this fast in such shallow water. So that is what we're working with. I'm going to dunk this in the test tank and get you some footage. You can see how that tail is straightened up. And the idea with this bait is you're taking it over the fish's head, and you're giving it nice little twitches like that in the water, and you're basically playing keep away with the fish until he absolutely crushes it. And this is a very effective technique. The 90-degree line tie on the head paired with a Palomar knot works absolutely great. You could also tie it on a loop knot if you wanted some more action. but I prefer to tie it on a Palomar knot, and it works pretty dang good. You can see that tail's nice and straight in the water when you kill it, and then when you twitch it, those ribs just allow it to have enough weight to sling that tail around, and it works pretty dang good in my opinion. So you can see with how much that tail's moving around just by me slightly jigging this. I'm just barely moving my finger here. It's going to kick around a lot on the back of a bladed jig. And I'm going to show you that when we go to the lake here in a minute. But I wanted to get you some footage of it in the water. Okay, here is what that looks like on the back of a 1/2 ounce jackhammer. This is one of my favorite bladed jigs, and it produces a lot of bites. That trailer is a perfect match for that. Has the perfect amount hanging out the back. That's going to draw a lot of largemouth, a lot of spots, and just be a very well-producing bait. And if nothing else, I can guarantee you every sunfish in the county is going to want to annihilate the back of that tail every time they see this thing coming by. I don't know what sunfish have against the trailers on jackhammers, but they just want to hit it with every single ounce of their body strength. So that is one thing that I can guarantee you on that, and these look pretty dang sweet. There's one. Oh yeah, there's one. Feels like a decent one. Oh yeah, yep. That's a good one. Let's turn off the spot lock. All right, that's a good fish. That's a good fish. Yep, there's the drag. Come on, buddy. Got a bigger net. Let's just take our time. Let's just take our time. No, don't jump. It's too big to jump. Easy. Easy, big girl. Easy, big girl. Oh yeah, in the net. That's a freaking big one. That is a big one, dude. A big one on the screenshot shad. Holy crap, dude. That's a big fish. Look at that thing. There's the bait in its mouth. That is a freaking tank. Holy crap. Oh my god. That's crazy, guys. I'm going to get a measurement on her and take some pictures, but that's nuts. Oh guys, check this out. Look at that. It's got a fish down its throat. That's crazy. That tells you they're chowing down there. Holy smokes. That's a big fish. 21 3/4. Wow. Alright guys, 21 3/4 on the 4-inch screenshot shad. That is a beauty of a largemouth. Very awesome fish. Alright guys, you saw it here. That is a thick fish on the 4-inch screenshot shad. What an amazing fish that is. Absolute beauty of a fish. Beauty of a fish. There's one. Hope it's a big one. He doesn't feel as big. He was alright. He wasn't real big. He wasn't like that other one. Well, there is a little bit of fishing, and I do mean a little bit. That wasn't a whole lot. I didn't have a lot of time, but it was still fun. Got out there and got to catch a big fish, as you will see in this video. The fish were set up right where I thought they would be, and they were stacked kind of how I was hoping to find them. They just didn't act right. They wouldn't fire when I was throwing in them. There's schools of 15 or 20, and I just couldn't get them to fire. Usually you throw in there, you get 2 or 3 fish on your bait at one time. One of them will eat it, and it goes really fast, and you just keep throwing in there, keep catching them. Today, you know, out of those 15 or 20 fish you might throw through, maybe 1 or 2 would maybe come up and just kind of look at it. They were very lethargic. I don't know if they had fed all day, or maybe somebody had already found them and fished for them prior to me getting there. I don't know. Anyways, they were kind of stingy, but we still caught a big one, which is pretty good in my mind, especially with how stingy it was. And I caught a 5-pounder on it last trip, so that is exciting as well. I threw the bladed jig a little bit. I went down the dam with it. The fish really aren't on the bank right now, not at this lake anyways. And I did get 2 or 3 bites on it, but they just didn't feel anything big. They weren't able to really stop that bladed jig. And that's kind of how I usually gauge how big the fish is how well it stops the jig. And they weren't really able to do that. So, probably not very big, probably some small spots or something like that. But it was pretty stingy today, pretty stingy. I don't know if I'm going to go fish in the morning or not. We have vacation coming up. So if this is all the fishing there is, just know that there will be more fishing in the future. This is a bait I designed. This is a bait I'm going to be fishing a lot. So if you don't get a ton of fishing in this video, don't worry. Probably the next video on the channel will be more fishing with this particular bait. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to be dropping some of these over the next week. I don't have a lot of inventory built right now. I've got a lot going on in the personal life. So just bear with me, and I will have some up as soon as possible. If I don't have any, shoot me a message on Facebook or Instagram, and I will make you some up just for you. That way you can get some if I don't have any on the store. So I appreciate everyone who watches. Like and subscribe. It does help the channel out. And I will catch you guys in the next video.